This is so exciting. It's so much better.
Well,
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I know.
oh, we're not coming on the 17th.
We're not coming on the 17th. We're going to do a double meeting on the 24th.
You know, we can get through this quick.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. So we'll do this.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
There's some of them you just want to go, what?
I'd like to call our meeting to order, June 10th board meeting. It's been a long time since we've seen our boardroom this full, and it's great to see it full like this. First business tonight is Pledge of Allegiance, led by Ms. Tiffany Johnson. All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson. If you would, please join me in a moment of silence. But before we do, let's try to keep the family in our prayers and thoughts on the football players that was involved in an accident. I understand one of them was in critical ICU. So please keep those families and those football players in our thoughts tonight. All right, thank you. Before we get into the agenda, we're going to move one item up so we can get Mr. Bodery out. And that item is going to be number 16 on the amendments. So we would like to do that right before the visitors. Is that going to be suitable? Okay. All right. Does anyone have any issues with that? All right. Need a motion on the agenda. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Second. Thank you, Ms. Bratton. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, do we have a motion on the consent agenda? Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
I second.
Ms. Maxwell, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, number 16.
Yeah, number 16, we have three budget amendments here. We'll start with Fund 141, year-end cleanup of budget amendment. This is a routine annual cleanup amendment to true up revenue and the expenditure line items at the end of the fiscal year. This amendment increases the 2021 revenues by $13,552,865 and utilizes $1,605,800 for the 2020-2021 expenditures. The largest of the expenditures is for contracted services for additional portable classroom moves to take place over summer break, additional custodial cleaning supplies for overages as well as for use in summer deep cleaning, some additional replacement computers for teachers' use, and increased budgeted county trustee commissions. It should be noted on the revenue side of the amendment that large increase is from local option sales tax revenue. While the local sales tax has been strong through the current fiscal year, The school board worked closely with the county commission during the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget prep last spring by placing the local option sales tax original current year budget to reflect less than the original fiscal year 19-20 sales tax budgeted. Obviously, for obvious reasons, we're going through a pandemic, and as we look at that, we don't have a crystal ball, and we anticipated that would be a little bit more conservative than what it ended up being. Motion to approve the fiscal year 2020-21 year-end cleanup amendment as presented.
All right, any discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Max. Mr. Estes, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2.
All right, number 2 is our 143 fund year-end cleanup amendment. This year-end cleanup amendment is for our food service. It trues up the revenue lines and items to reflect a transition to the seamless summer program during the current school year. On the expenditure side, payroll line items were adjusted to recognize the non-recurring half-year 2% pay increase that was approved by the school board early in this spring, as well as to recognize the decrease of food prep supplies and food purchases that were brought about only from the lower meal participation in the fall due to distance learning. But also it includes a change in how bulk food purchases were ordered to minimize food spoilage and waste. The equipment expenditure line item increase is to the fund additional one-time purchase of needed kitchen equipment replacement at several of our school cafeterias over the summer. It should be noted that this year's cleanup amendments do not include the need for a bad debt school meal write-off, as the outstanding bad debt meal debt for this fiscal year is only $4.70 as compared to the fiscal year of 1920 of $156,313. Motion to approve fiscal year 2020-21 year-end cleanup amendment for Fund 143 as presented.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to know who we're supposed to congratulate for that $4.70 as compared to $156,000 last year.
Pandemic.
Well, silver line, something.
Something
Silver
good.
lining. Yeah.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Second, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3.
All right, number 3, Fund 177 year-end cleanup budget amendments for capital projects. This is routine annual cleanup amendment to true up revenue and expenditure line items for the fiscal year end. This amendment increases the 2020-21 revenues by $203,819 and utilizes $10,000 for the 2020-21 expenditures. This increase of the expenditures is to reflect the increase of the current year county trustee commission. The increase in revenues is to reflect actual collections to date over budget for current fiscal year. The additional funds will be placed in the ending fund balance to help offset increasing cost of capital projects for the fiscal year 21-22. Motion to approve the fiscal year 2020-2021 year-end cleanup for the 177 fund.
Okay, any discussion? Do we have a motion? Ms. Bratton? All right, so I have a second?
Took hers, I'll take the second.
All right, Ms. Moore had the motion, Ms. Bratton had the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, Mr. Bodie, I think you're free to go. Thank you. Good luck. You want to hit number 4 while we're here? Go ahead and knock it out.
Yeah, we can. Number 4. We can do that.
That'll take care of all this.
All right, let me go back to number 4 here. This is a approval of job description of position for a salary classified federal project accountant and a salary classified payroll accountant for the school budget in the finance department. Both positions are funded in the proposed fiscal year 21-22 budget. These 2 positions are needed due to the growth of the district as well as to handle additional workload from ESSER 2 and ESSER 3.0. Grant compliance and reporting. Funding for this federal project accountant position to come from ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds for the next 2 fiscal years, then funding come from indirect costs from our federal projects. Motion to approve this job description and positions for the federal project classified salary accountant, as well as one classified salaried payroll accountant as detailed in referenced job descriptions.
Any questions? All right, do we have a motion?
I move.
All right, Ms. Maxwell, do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Johnson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I just want to remind the audience that we have had a work session and covered a lot of this material last night, so if we're rushing through, we're really not. We've already done our homework. Okay, let's go back to visitors. We do have one visitor, Ms. Elizabeth Coker.
Thank you, Superintendent Spurlock, board members. How are you this evening? Thank you for allowing me to speak. I come here on behalf of the ROTC program at Rockville. We had some problems this year, and I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of some of these issues. One of the things that happened, we are kind of experiencing something that I kind of feel is a little bit of a phenomenon that is going on all across the country with the defund the police and anti-military kind of feeling that is happening. And our students were kind of targeted, I think, over the past 4 years in this program. I want to bring that to your attention now. I want it documented, and I have a list that will be going to Mr. Luker about those incidents, specific incidents. One of the things that happened was we were completely left out of the yearbook, which for 160 cadets, that's just unbelievable. 160 cadets is larger than the band, and we brought home more trophies than the football team. And those young people really do deserve the recognition in their yearbook, so I'm going to be asking for the board and the school to consider an addendum to be published at no cost to the those who ordered the yearbook. I also just wanted to mention that I had an opportunity to speak with the superintendent last night. There's something that Williamson County does to recognize their young people. They put on a video online, and it's quite a really nice piece, very positive. It's kind of a video selfie, and each one that goes into the military, they just tell their name and their school and where they're going. And so we talked about that last night, sir, and I appreciate your support in that area to kind of rectify some of these things that these young people in ROTC are experiencing. They're not getting, I don't think, the support, maybe in some subtle ways. So what we'd like to do is pursue that with you. If you could, I sent you an email today, and just let me know how I can do, what else I can do to facilitate that. The only other thing I have to say is I thank you for your job. I would not have your job for anything in the world. It's a hard job. You dedicate a lot of hours to this, but you're not utilizing your parents enough. In the 4 years that we've been at the Eagleville and the Rockville School, I was never asked to volunteer for anything. And I want you to know that because I feel like, okay, we had Rockville, and at Eagleville, we were new at Eagleville. We kind of stuck to the ROTC family. But then when we moved to Rockville, you know, it was a new school. I just did not feel like there was enough reaching out to the parents, because we heard last night some grants that are going to be initiated, and that, you know, some of the things fell through. I think there was a mixer or something that the CTE program needed. Please ask your parents. Please develop a list and ask, because we'll be more than happy to help you in any way possible.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coker.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 7, recognition.
All right, recognition. Rutherford County Schools national title cheerleading teams. All right, we're going to take these one team at a time. Is there a spokesperson for each team? Okay, let's have our Blackman High School varsity football cheerleading national champions to stand. Okay, is there a coach somewhere that can speak about, if you don't mind coming up to the podium and speak a little bit on them?
wasn't ready for this, but I'm so excited to be here. I'm Courtney Gregory. This is Heather Wortman, and together we've been coaching the Blackman High School cheerleading program for about the last 18 years or so, and this is our 8th national championship at Blackman in the small co-ed division. I'm going to take my time. I've been here before. I'm going to take my time to congratulate everybody that's in this room, because let me tell you, if this isn't a testament to the athletic, whether you believe cheerleading is a sport or not, it is an athletic activity, and this is a huge testament to the quality of kids and athletes that we have in this county, not just in football and basketball and baseball, but in lots of different venues. And so I'm really thankful tonight that you let us come out here and celebrate in what was most definitely the most difficult year ever in sports, in school, and everything, and just so very proud of not only the Blackman High School kids, but all of these kids in this county, and I'm so thankful that you had us here tonight, so thank you.
Just thank you for your support. This was an unprecedented year, and so we're just so thankful that we're able to complete what seemed like a far-fetched, far-fetched way to attempt nationals, and these kids just really, they were resilient, and I'm sure all these other teams were as well. So we just thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next, Rockville Middle Junior Non-Tumbling National Champions. Got a spokesperson here?
Hi, I'm Rachel Butner. I am the head coach at Rockville Middle School. This is Kim Smith, one of my assistant coaches, as well as Brandy Carey, who could not be here. My girls competed in what's called junior non-tumbling this year, and so what's a little bit different about that is even though we're a middle school, we actually had to compete against high school teams as well. They combined JV teams and middle school teams, and so for them to compete against people who are older and have more experience was nothing less than a miracle, and it's really because of their hard work and them rising to the occasion. I'll echo Courtney's sentiments that we're so proud to be here with all of these really respected teams. It's an honor. It's our first title, and so we just appreciate you recognizing us tonight.
All right, next is Siegel High School National Title and Small Varsity Non-Tumble Division.
Hello, good evening. I am Jessica Fox. I'm the coach at Siegel High School, and this is my assistant, Miss Karen Beard. This is our first title as well, our first time competing in this division, and I would just like to piggyback off of everyone else. Thank you all for your support, and we were very blessed to have a season. We didn't think going into this crazy COVID year that we would be able to, and I also want to thank our wonderful principal, Mr. Larry Creasy, for his support of our program as well. Thank you.
All right, next is Stewart's Creek High School JV co-ed team and medium varsity co-ed team who won the nationals.
Hey, I'm Madison Kelly. I'm one of the assistant competition cheer coaches at Stewart's Creek. Our head coach, Alana Smith, could not be here. To be the best in the nation is always something to be celebrated, but in a year like this one where there were so many unknowns and obstacles to overcome to get here, to be the best in the nation is truly an amazing feat. So congratulations to all of the athletes and coaches here. What you've done this season is amazing. And we're so proud that 5 of the best teams in the nation come from Rutherford County. Something special that we want to acknowledge about Stewart's Creek is we actually have 2 teams here tonight. We brought home a national title in the JV co-ed division and medium co-ed division. And what's unique about that is unlike most high schools that have both a JV and varsity team competing, we do not operate separately. These kids share coaches, they share practice time, they share practice space. Whenever one team is performing, the other is at the front of the mat supporting the other, and that's really special and inspiring to watch as a coach, because this would not work, guys, without you buying into that tradition. So without you working together as a team and your determination to build each other up and that one team mentality, not every kid would come home with a white jacket this year, but because you did, Stewart's Creek Team 8 this year was the first to bring home a white jacket for every kid in our cheer program. So give yourselves a hand. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
They can be staying for the whole meeting or?
If you guys would like to leave, you can. If you want to stick around and listen to the rest of the board meeting, you can do that.
Are they going to do pictures?
I think they have to get it out there. I can't imagine they get a picture in here.
Tell you what, it's getting to be very competitive.
I get it now, they're all the same jacket.
When did they start doing jackets? I got all kinds of trophies. I like the jacket.
I like the jacket too.
Oh, probably because we weren't ever national champions, but then we didn't have, I don't think they had the competition back then.
Well, and
Zone runs through the county. I've got kids on every one of these teams.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
I'm the only board member who can say that.
I don't have any, I don't think. I mean, I don't have any in this group, but
Riverdale was the only holdout that wouldn't do compete cheer. And last year, Brooke finally gave in. And they're doing it now.
I tell you,
I don't know why she didn't want to do it for years, but she just didn't.
well, it takes a lot of time, a lot of fundraising. You know, it's a hard job because I don't even know if there's a supplement for their coach.
There probably is. Brooke's been doing it for 20 years.
and we had a hard time getting a supplement for the archery. I bet you the cheerleaders probably don't have one. It's a lot of people.
Oh, Mr. Spurlock knows how to lose a crowd, doesn't he?
All right. We'll resume on now to number 8.
Yeah, number 8, last night, Mr. Gullion went over that, and we also, just to follow up on this, today, he sat in a meeting with the Commissioner Schwinn. We're also going to apply for what's called a 10-core non-competitive grant, and what that does is it allows us to partner with other organizations like United Way, Boys and Girls Club, variety of different things to provide learning loss, or what we call accelerated learning opportunities for our students. And it will additionally give us somewhere close to, I think, $1,500 per student. If we meet what we need, over 900 students, it would provide a pretty healthy amount to address some of the things throughout our school year. The application itself, we've not even started it. Like he talked about yesterday, he went through the various surveys that and input and feedback that he got, and I think we've reached out to the commission, we've reached out to our parents. Have there any other organizations that we've?
Yeah, we've reached out to a multitude of advocacy groups as well, disability groups. We've reached out to just about everybody that we knew to reach out to.
Okay. Are any questions on the ESSER fund? Now, this is the large one. This is the one that requires a lot more, hands-on than the other two. There's a lot that goes into it, not just the application part, but what we monitoring, the auditing, the various components of that. However, we do believe that it will provide us with a lot of opportunities to recover in some areas as far as our learning loss may be.
All right, number 9.
This is our transportation pursuant to policy 3.405 bus contract award procedures. The new contractor lists for the 2021-2022 school year are presented. These two lists are the first priority, which are the regular bus drivers who have driven for 2 full years, and the second priority, those who currently own one or more contracts, are for approval in order to facilitate the awarding of new bus contracts on a timely basis for the beginning of the new school year and thereafter as contracts are turned into the Transportation Department throughout the year. Motion to approve 2 priority lists for bus contracts effective for the school year 2021-2022 as presented.
All right, any questions? All right, do we have a motion?
I move.
I'll
Ms.
second.
Sharp, do we have a second? Ms. Maxwell, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 10.
Our number 10 is the Stellar Therapy Service Contract Renewal found on tab 2. Rutherford County Schools Health Services Department is requesting to renew the existing contract with Stellar Therapy Services for Medicaid claims, processing, and reimbursement. Our initial contract with Stellar Services began in April of 2018, and since then, the Rutherford County Schools has been paid over $25,000 for nursing services provided by the Rutherford County School nurses for eligible students. Motion to approve this renewal Stellar Therapy Services contract as presented.
Any questions? Okay. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Ms. Bratton, Ms. Moore, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 11.
All right, number 11 is Imagine Reading, found on tab 3. The ESL department is requesting approval to enter into a purchase contract with Imagine Learning for their Imagine Reading program. Imagine Reading is a research-based literacy curriculum that includes an online component designed to help students develop and strengthen language and literacy skills necessary to fully participate in academic settings and prepare for college and career readiness. The purchase of this agreement is for the 2021-2022 school year in the amount of $37,500, and it will be funded through Title III funds. Motion to approve the purchase of Imagine Reading for $37,500 through Title III funds for the 2021-2022 school year.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
So move.
Ms. Sharp, Ms. Maxwell, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 12.
All right, number 12, 2021 Professional Development Software Management System renewal found on tab 4. Rutherford County School District requires teachers to earn a minimum of 6 hours of professional development per year. Performance Matters, a Power School product, provides this data management system to track, record, and house professional development course offerings. All Rutherford County teachers will have access to their professional development transcripts for license renewal and advancement. Performance Matters will provide ongoing support and maintenance services for the site. The contract is for $46,182.50, which covers the hosting of the service for 1 term a year. This is in the budget for the 2021-22 school year. Motion to approve the $46,182.50 for hosting service, software, and product for Performance Matters Professional Development Management System from July 18th of 2021 through July 17th of 2022 as presented.
Any questions? All right, do we have a motion? Ms. Johnson, second.
Second.
Mr. Estes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 13.
All right, number 13, Graduation Alliance Partnership. Rutherford County Schools seeks to partner with Graduation Alliance in assisting adults in completing their high school diplomas. We believe in helping our community and providing better outcomes. This program will be fully funded through ADM funds from the state BP. Rutherford County Schools will only be responsible for providing accurate attendance and academic progress data to the DDOE. The online platform, teachers, and any other expenses will be responsibility of Graduation Alliance. I would also point out that we will also be in charge, or we have oversight of their curriculum that they're using. Motion to approve a partnership for Rutherford County Schools and Graduation Alliance as presented.
All right, any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move.
Ms. Maxwell, Ms. Johnson, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, 14.
All right, number 14, our EPP Math and Science Grant from the Southern Regional Education Board. They've offered Rutherford County Schools a grant opportunity in the amount of $110,700 to serve as a pilot site for their fast-track alternative certification program for math and science teachers curriculum. This grant will cover the cost of the math and science teacher preparation curriculum and 2 years of ongoing professional development, co-teaching, and coaching for the EPP facilitator as they develop the math and science EPP program. Rutherford County Schools will be responsible for allowing SREB access to EPP faculty and participants to complete co-teaching sessions, observations, interviews, surveys, and focus group discussion, all designed to elicit feedback for improvement. Motion to approve SREB Fast Track Alternative Certification Program for Math and Science Teacher Grant in the amount of $110,700 over 2 years to assist the quality of implementation and development of math and science EPP program.
All right, any questions? Okay, need a motion. Ms. Bratton? Just a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right.
The next one is due to we got approval for our expand our EPP program in math and science. This is a request of math and science faculty position. This position will be a 200-day contract, teacher contract. The RC Educator Preparation Provider Program has received TDOE approval to add the following specialty area programs for job-embedded licensure advancement in the area of math 6 through 10, biology 6 through 12, chemistry 6 through 12, earth science 6 through 12, and physics 6 through 12. There are currently 15 individuals who are interested in enrolling in the Math Science Cohort 1 to begin on July of 2021. A second EPP faculty person will be with a background in math and science instruction curriculum is requested to successfully implement this program. Motion to approve the addition of the EPP Facilitator 200-day position for fiscal year 21-22 to support the successful launch of the new math and science EPP cohort. This position will be funded utilizing current open CTE positions, so no new positions or funding is needed.
All right. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move.
Ms. Maxwell, Ms. Sharp, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Carl D. Perkins.
Carl D. Perkins Basic Grant. Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act of 2018, also known as the Perkins 5, is presented for approval for the funding period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th of 2022. The grant is for the amount of $694,131.15. Carl D. Perkins Basic Grant provides funding for program improvement, travel, staff development for our career and technical education teachers. Motion to approve the Carl D. Perkins Basic Grant for the amount of $694,131.15 to provide funding for program improvement, equipment, travel, staff development for our career and technical education teachers.
All right. Any questions? Do we have a motion? Ms. Johnson, second. Mr. Estes, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, next is our Innovative High School Grant through CTE. The Innovative High School Grant was given from the TDOE. It was a competitive grant, and it was approved on May the 21st of 2021 through September the 30th of 2023. This grant is in an amount of $1,044,125.37. The Innovative High School Grant provides funding to allow Rutherford County Schools to reimagine the use of time, space, partnerships, and modes of learning for student success, which would include 3 facilitator positions. One would be a career coach facilitator that will be housed at Riverdale High. One would be a career coach facilitator that will be housed at Laverne High, and a work-based learning facilitator that will be housed at the central office. Motion to approve the Innovative High School Grant for the amount of $1,044,125.37 to provide funding to allow Rutherford County Schools to reimagine the use of time, space, partnerships, modes of learning for student success, which includes these 3 facilitator positions. Motion to approve as presented.
Okay, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. How did we determine which school was going to get these positions?
That's a good question.
We looked at our CTE programs and which ones were the most needy for something that necessarily, and looking at the staffing and the programs they offered, were ones that we needed to look in directions to bolster that. But what I think the highlight of this is that district-wide position that's going to be able to help all CTE positions.
Especially the work-based learning. What he was talking about is when we look at the number of classes that we have in each school, Laverne and Riverdale were the ones that would have more deficiency. Those that we had some that would double almost what they have.
So they need more support then, is that
Right, they need more support. And quite frankly, this is something that I mentioned last night as far as the career counselor that we need. I mean, we really need a lot. Ideally, a few years back, the board chose to create what's called the graduation coach. Right now, be honest with you, looking forward, we need to create the career counselor.
So repurpose?
Repurpose, yes. And that's something I will be looking at. And like I said, we don't want to, eliminate any jobs, but maybe we can repurpose it in a way in which that same position, I think they're 205-day contracts, can use that time to start with our kids early in high school, using that youth science data that we have, having meetings with our parents, and exposing them to opportunities that we probably don't do in an early enough time.
So do we expect that these positions we will no longer need them? So we're going to make the improvements at those schools that would make these positions no longer?
I think we will I go back to that same thing. We could repurpose, yes, absolutely. But ideally, going forward, if we really want to put some teeth into careers, if we really believe that careers start early, which I personally do, we're going to need this in the future, and perhaps doing this will cut down on some of the student debt that we're seeing, so that they can perhaps maybe know what they want to do. And that's not to say that they can't change, but, maybe give them a head start on a career. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sprock, if you don't mind, the other thing I would add to that is when we say that these programs need support, when we look at it statewide, they in no way need support to where they are not already outperforming where we are statewide. Just looking at our opportunities they have, they were our 2 lowest of our high schools. And so they're still very much above the norm.
I mean, I'll just, it's very robust. We'll have over 500 certifications or 600 this year, So it's our CTE is very robust, but it's not at these 2 schools, not comparable to our other high schools.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Second? Sharp, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, these next few come from our 141 fund. Curriculum instruction, instructional technology, Moby Max. The instruction department is requesting to purchase Moby Max, an online personalized learning system. Moby Max finds and fixes learning gaps with the power of personalized learning. The total cost of Moby Max for the 2021-2022 school year is the amount of $29,555 to be funded through the general purpose school funds. This is a recurring cost as part of our instructional technology budget. Motion to approve the purchase of MobiMax for $29,555 through the general purpose school fund in the year of 2021-2022.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and not specifically talking about MobiMax, but we touched on this last night, but I'd like to bring it back up again since this is the official board meeting, because I do want to make some concerns of mine to put them out there, but also to talk a little bit more about all of these, especially the video-based curriculum platforms. We talked last night, or I did, brought up the fact that the critical race theory has been deemed by our legislature something that doesn't need to be in the curriculum in our Tennessee schools. And all of these video-based platforms have it in them. And, you know, I've talked with Dr. Sullivan, and I understand that Director Spurlock, so I want to preface this by saying that I know our system is committed to making sure that our teachers and our educators out there are not utilizing the pieces of these platforms that are, what's the word I'm looking for, that don't coincide with those rules that our legislatures put down, as well as the conservative values, at least that myself and I know many of my constituents hold as well. All of these platforms are riddled with, and you can pull them up and find very quickly where there are videos and there are curriculum on there that are very antithetical to our beliefs and our values. Now, I understand and had conversation, and thank you, Dr. Sullivan, for your input, that it's probably pretty difficult right now to find a platform, a learning platform out there right now that doesn't have this stuff in it. There are still many states and other districts and places throughout this country that I understand support this type of curriculum, even though the state of Tennessee has made a statement that we don't. So I am confident that our system is going to do the right thing in terms of training our teachers and our educators as to what components of these platforms are acceptable to teach to our children in our school system and which are not. So I thank you all for that, and I'll preface that by what I'm getting ready to say is that until the fact that we can't find platforms that represent the conservative values and keep these things out of our curriculum is sad in of itself. And I don't think that until school boards like Rutherford County, Davidson County, your larger school systems that have the teeth to put into it, start pushing back on these companies and corporations that are charging us hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're getting ready to vote on tonight, that they take this stuff out of the platforms, at least as far as the platforms that they're going to offer to the states that have said, no, we're not going to put this insidious curriculum into our platforms, that they're just going to continue to do it, and it's just going to continue to get worse. So, that being said, I am not going to vote in favor of any of these programs tonight, but again, not a reflection on this system or our commitment to do the right thing. Just simply, I think we've got to start standing up and saying no to these corporations that are continuing to do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion?
I have a question then, and I don't disagree with Ms. Moore, but what would be the alternative? I mean, we're tasked with providing platforms for our students, and so if there isn't an alternative, and if we were to all not support these programs, although I share in that confidence, what would that look like for us?
I think when we are looking at our instructional technology, one of the big things that we have to look at is COPA compliance, that Children's Online Privacy Protection Act that we're preparing them. And when we look at the size of Tennessee, Tennessee is not large enough for one of these companies, just like with textbooks, that they are going to produce curriculum just for us. You know, last year, and trying to connect to distance learning, last year we had lots of issues with people continually having to go to a platform to Clever and click and click and click to a different platform. This is a lot of that reason, is that we have, to access these, you have to go through Clever, and then you're going through Rutherford County's portion of this platform. You could go in probably any platform, whether it even be Google, Apple, Microsoft, and find some of these same type of issues, because again, you're going to have a nationwide portion. Kind of what we're charged with doing, though, is making sure that our teachers know what portion of these platforms for us that we use. You're going to have several of them, whether it's MobiMax, Edgenuity. We have to control portions of those through our training with our teachers and kind of what we're doing. The other part of this that I want to bring to your attention, we will at our next policy committee, there's actually next policy committee meeting, having a policy that is going to address state standards and instructional materials as well, because these new laws go into effect the beginning of the 21-22 school year, and so we're still about 3 weeks away, but we also do not have our guidance yet from TDOE as well. So this is a fluid situation. She mentioned in her commissioner's update last Thursday that she'd be providing guidance on that, but we can't sit back and wait for that guidance as well, and that's why we've already started our training about a week and a half ago with our instructional technology team on all these platforms to make sure that we're following. Is that to say we're not going to have an issue? No, we're a very large district, but what we do then is just like with anything else. When we have an issue, we bring it to awareness and then we address it from there.
I think she referenced August 1st.
Okay, August 1st. Okay,
which is
great.
way too late. One of the problems that we have had, and we're still working on it, we have too many platforms. That's the problem. We've become a little addicted to certain things. I think you can look at the price and see that this isn't county-wide on some of these programs. So what we've got to do is and I'll applaud the Instruction for doing this, they have narrowed this down. Those of you who've been on the board, you had a whole lot more programs than this right here. So I say that because this is a little bit more manageable. That's not to say that there can't be some issues with it. You know, quite frankly, there was a screenshot that was sent around in the fall that actually came from something that the TDOE had put out. So I say all that because it's a slippery slope. I think we would all agree that we want to be nonpartisan. It's our job to provide learning opportunities. It's not our job to persuade or express our opinions in any way. So that's one of the things I think when we get into the portion of our policy meeting, there are some things there that will hold our teachers accountable.
I have another question for Dr. Sullivan. For last night, I think, I just want some clarification. I think you said something about you had the ability, or we have the ability as a system to block use of certain things or to manipulate those platforms, and access won't be granted to our teachers?
Yes, some of the ones that are the most specific. So MobiMax, the first one, I'll just take that one, if that's okay. MobiMax is largely K-8, and it is specific. We use it a little bit in high school with intervention with special education students in Tier 2 and Tier 3, but it is largely phonics-based. I mean, it is flash words. You could probably Google it and find a connection as well, but that is not what our access is for. We're using it for intervention for our students for skills. Edgenuity, if you Google right now, you could find CRT, Common Core, anything you wanted to, but Edgenuity is the one that I probably have the most confidence in it because our instruction team, that is what we use for credit recovery at the high schools, and our instruction team actually clicks the standards and the lessons that students will get access to when they go through. So it's not necessarily created. That doesn't mean that when new things are added, we don't still have to continuously go through, but that's one. Nearpod, just like with other platforms, are going to have a video module. And what we continuously tell our teachers is that video module is not what we're using. We're using the content that we can create. The best example I can give you, let's just say you were looking at this board agenda and someone had a presentation who couldn't be here. We could add a video using Nearpod to the presentation so that you could click one button and see, along with the board description, of them presenting content on that. For teachers in this synchronous and even for kids who were absent, that is a great tool for them to say, here's the worksheet we're covering, here's me teaching this worksheet, and then being able to access at home. And so that's really where those three platforms come in.
I do just want to say that, to echo Ms. Moore's points, You know, we did have some situations this last year where we saw some of that very concerning material provided to our students, and each time it was addressed, each time that I was aware, we followed the chain of command, it got to the director, it was handled, Dr. Sullivan handled it, so I understand that those times will happen. I hope that we can prevent them from happening as much as possible. I do not support that kind of educational indoctrination, if you will. I think we need to be teaching our kids, giving them an opportunity to learn true history and true math and true fundamentals, not in the indoctrination part. So I will support these tonight, but with the confidence in the department that we're going to continue to do what we can to prevent that material from getting to our students.
I think the biggest thing we can guarantee that we will hold anyone accountable who does something that is intentional. Now, I do know that there can be some unintentional, so we will hold them accountable.
I'd just like to say that I do appreciate Ms. Moore bringing this up. I did not know some of the things that you've said, but having said that, I have the greatest confidence in our instructional department and the way that we are organized in curriculum leads and the way we do our training is second to none. And I believe that we all have the confidence that you folks are going to do exactly what is needed and pull out the great parts of these programs and leave the rest to some other state.
Ms. Short?
Thank you, Mr. Young. Dr. Sullivan, I hate to talk about this publicly but you can Google it and find it. One of these programs, and forgive me, I'm forgetting which one, but I will go back and get that information for you. One of these, when you give them assignment, when they write up whatever their story is and submit it, they use AI to grade the paper. And they have learned how to game the system. So how are we going to prevent that? And so basically, Ms. Johnson, I know you're like, well, how do they game the system? So basically what they're doing is they're going through and picking out certain words. They may write a story, or they could write 5 or 6 words in their paragraph, and the artificial intelligence looks for those words. So they could say, my dog ate a bone, and if those words were in those certain words, they would get a 100. So they may not learn the whole material, but if they put those words that the artificial intelligence was looking for, they would pass without learning anything. So
that's something that we continuously have to look at. And I hate to bring attention to it, but the state of Tennessee actually uses some of that for their own state testing. And so that's in their written contract as well, because of human testing, how much time that takes. So, but it's something we definitely are aware of and talk about. I teach at Lipscomb, and I have an easy grader access to me that I can use if I want to, but that goes back to being the professional, which I have all the confidence our teachers are, that we need to make sure that we are doing our due diligence, that the work submitted is quality.
I don't think, like the rest of us, I don't think it's our staff that we're worried about. You know, it's access to the students and
Absolutely.
Other things. So thank you.
Ms. Sharp, all you had to do was use a transitional word and a semicolon. And it's true. Am I right? A transitional word and a semicolon, and it was picked up by those graders and given a good score. So I don't know that that's anything that we can stop, but I will say that as a teacher of English, I knew how my kids were writing. So we're going to bring that human element into that and teach them, yes, a transitional word and a semicolon will get you a good score, but let me look at what you're doing, and that's what we do. I honestly believe the human element is where it is.
Absolutely.
All right, any other discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
Can we repeat them?
It's Moby Max.
Is it Moby Max? Okay. Why you just
Move to approve.
All right, Ms. Johnson moves to approve. We have Ms. Bratton seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, Edgenuity. The instructional department is requesting to purchase Edgenuity, an online learning system. Edgenuity offers standards-based, aligned, video-based curriculum for middle and high school blended learning environments. This program is used for credit recovery in our high schools. The total cost of Edgenuity for the 2021-2022 school year is $130,500 to be funded through the General Purpose School Fund. This is a recurring cost as part of our instructional technology budget. Motion to approve the purchase of Edgenuity in the amount of $130,500 through general purpose funds for 2021-2022 school year, which brings up another subject. We use it just for credit recovery.
This portion, correct. The next one is just for the JRDC, which would, if we didn't, would be teacher salary a lot more than that.
Right. So where I was going with this is, since we've got a virtual platform and we have in every one of our comprehensive high schools a credit recovery teacher, I think it's time for us to go in another direction. Since we do have a virtual platform, we can still address this. What I would request, and I'll bring it forward next, beginning in the fall, is to, as we transition out of those, let those individuals assume a different teaching position that they're endorsed in within that high school. Because that would provide us, we wouldn't have to, quite frankly, we're past that again. Once again, we're past that because we do have the ability to provide that, after school or at home or whatever the case may be. So I think in order to look at as we grow, we're adding positions, this could be a position, and we'll look at it early of what they're certified in. And if that position opens up in a school, we can do this as a slow transition.
Can I ask then, are you, for clarification, you're saying that because we're utilizing this program for credit recovery, the need for the credit recovery employee position would be less?
Right. Well, we've always used this. However, we've used it with a teacher there. But with our platform now that we have a virtual school, it's time for us to utilize this in a way that's more responsible with the funding mechanism, and not once again use it like, for example, we will check all of our credit recovery teachers. We will see what their endorsements are and what they can teach, and as a position within that school becomes available, we can transition them to that position and eliminate the credit recovery.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Ms. Bratton made the motion. Ms. Maxwell second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion passes.
All right, the next one, we do need it, Edgenuity for Rutherford County Judicial Center. The Instruction Department is requesting to purchase Edgenuity for the Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center. Edgenuity serves as a basic education program for the Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center and offers a standards-based, aligned, video-based curriculum for middle and high school blended learning environments. The total cost for Edgenuity for the middle and high school blended learning environments, for Edgenuity for the JDC for the 2021-22 school year is $21,000, and it will be funded through general purpose school funds. This is a recurring cost as part of the instructional technology budget. Motion to approve the purchase of Edgenuity for the Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center for $21,000 through the general purpose funds for the 2021-22 school year.
Any discussion? All right, need a motion. Ms. Maxwell, have a second? Ms. Johnson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Nearpod.
All right, Nearpod, the Instruction Department is requesting to purchase Nearpod. It's an online student engagement platform. Nearpod is a cross-platform and easy to use way to engage your students in interactive activities, connect them to insight on the student learning. The cost of Nearpod for the 2021-2022 school year is $190,655, and it will be funded through the general purpose school funds. This is a recurring cost as part of our instructional technology budget. Motion to approve the purchase of Nearpod in the amount of $190,655 through the GP fund for the 2021-2022 school year.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. Do we have a second? Mr. Estes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. PlayPosit.
All right, PlayPosit is the instructional department is requesting to purchase PlayPosit, a web-based video platform. PlayPosit is an interactive web-based video platform that allows educators to provide formative assessment both inside and outside the classroom. The total cost of PlayPosit for the 2021-22 school year is $33,000 to be funded through the general purpose funds. This is a recurring cost as part of the instructional technology budget. Motion to approve the purchase of PlayPosit for $33,000 through the general purpose funds for the 2021-22 school year.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Do we have a second? Mr. Estes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Padlet.
All right, Padlet is the instructional department is requesting to purchase Padlet, a digital tool that can help teachers, students, and class beyond by offering a single place for a notice board. This digital bulletin board allows teachers to organize curriculum and activities and provides a place for teachers and students to collaborate. The total cost for Padlet for the 2021-22 school year is $8,200 that is to be funded through the GP funds. Motion to approve the purchase of Padlet for $8,200 through general purpose funds for the 2021-2022 school year.
Any questions?
Just to clarify, Dr. Sullivan, I think you did last night, but this particular platform is strictly for the communications amongst the teachers and the students. There's no video-based, no curriculum contained in it, correct? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Mr. Estes, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, next is Certica Case Assessment, Curriculum Instruction. We're requesting to use Certica, which is our case assessment benchmark assessment for the 2021-2022 school year. Rutherford County schools will administer the benchmark assessment in 2 windows, the fall and early spring. Additionally, Mastery Connect and GradeCam are part of the assessment package for the use of all educators for tracking data and formative assessment creation. This would be the second year of utilizing Certica case assessments in Rutherford County schools. The total cost is $650,775, which will be funded through ESSER 2.0. Motion to approve the purchase of Certica case assessment for the 21-22 school year.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move.
Ms. Maxwell, do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Bratton, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, next is the Curriculum Instruction Federal Programs. The Curriculum Instruction Department would like to allocate approximately $425,000 to continue with our curriculum lead framework that began during the 1920 year. Curriculum leads are an essential component of the Rutherford County Schools curriculum framework and model continuous improvement. Each school receives equal number of representatives based on the grade band that serve. Curriculum leads are funded through federal programs using our Title II funds. Motion to approve Title II funds for our curriculum leads for the 21-22 school year is presented.
All right, any discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. Have a second? Ms. Johnson? No?
I do.
Oh, Ms. Maxwell, okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Yes, sir.
All right, this next one is to request to hire a grant manager for their ESSER 2.0 and ESSER 3.0. This position would go away after 3 years. We will be targeting someone toward the end of their career retirement. Motion to approve the use of ESSER 2.0 funding for federal program specialists to address requirements of our ESSER grants funds as presented.
Any questions? Do we have a motion? Ms. Johnson, Ms. Maxwell, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Assessment accountability.
All right, this next position will be funded through ESSER money. However, we'll probably be looking at making this a permanent position after the ESSER money expires. Curriculum and Instruction Department is requesting to fund accountability and assessment specialists. The specialist will be funded through ESSER 2.0 for the 2021-22 school year and will assist with monitoring, collecting, and interpreting state and local assessments through the school year. This position will work closely with our coordinator of assessment and accountability. This will be a 260-day contract with an index of a specialist. A motion to approve the use of ESSER 2.0 funding for an assessment accountability specialist for the 21-22 school year as presented.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Braden. Need a second? Ms. Maxwell, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, the learning loss supervisor would be the position that would go away at the completion of the grant run out, 3 years. Pending ESSER 3.0 funding approval, curriculum and instruction request to fund learning loss supervisor. This individual will be responsible for all aspects of Tennessee Department of Education's learning loss programs, including our summer camps, our summer school, stream, after-school tutoring, and other programs yet to be determined. Those would be going on probably during the school year, and definitely will be going on. Motion to approve the funding of this learning loss supervisor pending the ESSER 3.0 approval.
Any questions? No discussion, so do we have a motion?
I move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Second. Thank you, Ms. Braden. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, next is Federal Programs Administrative Assistant. Curriculum and Instruction Department is revising the job description for the Federal Programs Administrative Assistant. This position will continue to be funded with the Consolidated Administration Funds for the 2021-22 school year. The revised job description includes new requirements of the ESSER grant funds. Motion to approve this revised job description for the Federal Programs Administrative Assistant position to address requirements in the ESSER grant funds as presented.
Any discussion? All right, do we have a motion? Mr. Estes?
Second.
Ms. Maxwell, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 15.
All right, number 15, in legal, found on tab 6, Smyrna Parks and Recreation yearly lease renewal. Smyrna Park and Recreation currently leases 35 acres behind Smyrna Elementary School. The current lease is set to expire August the 31st of 2021. However, the lease allows Smyrna to request a 1-year extension. The city has made a request in which they, if approved, would extend the expiration date to August 31st of 2022. Motion to approve the 1-year renewal request for Smyrna Parks and Recreation as presented.
All right, any discussion? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Sharp, do we have a second? Mr. Estes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, campus school.
All right, the campus school agreement, MTSU has updated the agreement between Rutherford County Schools and MTSU regarding campus school. The new agreement incorporates past amendments to the original 2006 agreement, and Dr. King collaborated with MTSU on updating the admission policy to better mirror Rutherford County Schools' other choice schools. This agreement will be effective for 5 years. Dr. King, you want to come up and speak a little bit on that?
We're very excited about the new admissions policy. Right now, the way it works is when a child turns 4 on their birthday, they come in and get on the waiting list. So it becomes quite extensive until they start. It's in birth date order. So it kind of, you have to have the right birth date to get in. So with this new admissions policy, then we'll take applications at the same time as the other choice schools, which allows for an equitable opportunity for all students that apply to attend. It'll be a random selection.
Thank you. Motion to approve the campus school agreement as presented.
All right, any questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Ms. Moore? All right. Ms. Maxwell, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3.
All right, number three, Rethink Forward, Inc., charter school application status.
As the board will remember, we had a charter school application from Rethink Forward, which the board took up a few months ago, which the board determined to be an incomplete application. So the board did not take action to either approve it or deny it. The board determined it was an incomplete application at that point. The applicant has requested that the board proceed with considering the application as if it was complete. So the matter is before the board tonight for your determination as to what you want to do with regard to it. I did provide you a proposed motion, which is a motion to request a waiver from the state as to the application and to proceed to process the application in accordance with the waiver. So that is one possible motion which you can take up tonight if you choose to, but it's up for the board's determination tonight.
Any questions?
I do need some more clarification. So the waiver would say to the charter school applicant,
The waiver would be an application on the time deadlines that you have from the state. You have state rules and regulations that govern with respect to charter school applications. The way the law reads, in the event a charter school application is made, you have 90 days to consider the application to either grant or deny it. In the event that the board takes no action within that 90-day period under the state law, it is deemed to be approved by a state statute. So that's the statute. So we will be asking, in this case, there were some questions with respect to the application itself. The Commissioner of Education acknowledged there were some, that the application process and the application form really did not fully account for the position that Rethink Forward found itself to be in, because Rethink Forward had been approved for a charter school in Metro, but had not yet opened a charter school in Metro. And there are different requirements in the forms with regard to whether the charter school is open or not in operation. So given the confusion with respect to the form itself, I think the Commissioner acknowledged that that both sides, the school system itself and the charter applicant, could have made reasonable interpretations as to what the form said and what its intention was, but has requested us to consider it as if it was complete and to go ahead and process the application. So so we're in a gray area. The state statute really doesn't deal with the situation we have here with respect to something that we've deemed to be incomplete, and with respect to these the questions that have come up in regards to the form. The state has indicated that they will be revising their form to, I guess, address some of the issues that have become evident with respect to this application that we've had. They've not yet done that. In the interim, the applicant has requested us to go ahead and consider their application as if it was complete. So that is a request by the applicant charter school, which you could, if you do wish to go ahead and consider it as complete, the motion that I have provided you is a motion to request a waiver from the state as to the state rules and regulations with regard to the timeframes that otherwise govern this process, and to proceed to process the application in accordance with the waiver granted by the state.
so basically we're saying with this waiver that, okay, we're going to accept your request to, is that what we're doing?
We will be accepting the request to reconsider the application. So yes. So we're accepting the request to reconsider the application.
So, thank you, Ms. Jones. So again, I just really want to make sure this is clarified. So if we do that, we're in essence saying that we're really reversing the decision that we rejected it to begin with, correct? Am I? I mean,
Well,
let me pose my question another way. If it were the board, or if a board member was of the mind that the decision-making process behind why the application was rejected to begin with should stand, then what, if any, should our action be tonight?
Well, the statute provides that within 90 days you're to either approve or deny the application. If you do neither, what the statute says is deemed to be approved. So in this case, and the state statute requires an application to be submitted as a complete application. So there's a requirement in the charter school to provide you a complete application. Once you have a complete application, that triggers the obligation to either approve the application or deny the application. So in this case, we never got to the point of having a complete application based on what the school system staff determined. So it never reached the point of you deciding whether to to approve or deny the application because you deemed it to be incomplete. So the applicant has contested that and said, well, we think the staff has made a wrong decision in determining it to be incomplete, and would like to have the board go ahead and process it and consider it as a complete application. To do that, we really would need to request a waiver of the state rules in regards to this, because the current rules that are in place really don't govern the situation we have, because we're in an area that the state statute does not really govern and the state rules do not govern. So at that point, we're in this gray area, and the commissioner has acknowledged that there were the form really could be improved and things could change on it to address the situation we have here. But if the board has to take some action on the application. We can do nothing and deem it to be incomplete and leave it at that if you choose to do that. I'm sure the charter school at that point may challenge us with respect to that decision and say, well, you've not met your statutory obligation to either approve or deny the application. You've just deemed it to be incomplete, and we'll have to deal with that process if we get into that. So and that's one alternative. A second alternative, which you have before you, is the motion that I gave you last night, which is a possible motion to request a waiver from the state as to the application and proceed to process the application in accordance with the waiver. That waives the 90-day rules that we otherwise are governed by, and allows the staff to go ahead and process the application. If there are deficiencies in the application or things that staff deem to be incomplete, it gives them time to try to contact their charter school applicant, get those addressed, get additional information along those that they think they need to process the application, and bring it back to the board for further action once that happens. So those really are two paths to go down. Either stand on your action with respect to being incomplete and see where that falls out with respect to whether we met our statutory obligation to either approve or deny the application, or have them consider the motion I've prepared here with respect is to request a waiver from the state as to the rules and regulations governing the application itself, and to go ahead and process the application in accordance with the waiver, assuming the waiver will be granted. And we don't know the waiver will be granted, but
the waiver would give us more time, right?
Waiver would give you more time. Yeah. So we're in this gray area. There's not going to be a black and white answer as to kind of what the board should do on this, or what the fallout from all this will be. But the applicant has asked that we proceed on with the charter's application, and that's their request. So we either choose to do that through this waiver process, or stand on the board's action, which we previously just said is an incomplete application, and leave it at that, and then see what happens with respect to whether we complied with the statute or not.
But I think it's very important to note that at least with this motion, we get more time to take a look at what we need to be doing. And if you don't do anything, then that leaves us in a position of having them come back and question our ability to read that application, right?
Yes, well, this gives you more time to look at it, and it gives time for staff to go back to the extent that, the staff believe the application to be incomplete. It gives them time to go back to the charter school applicant to ask that the items that were deficient or they thought were deficient to be addressed, and gives the charter school application another chance to correct those matters. But then it will have to come back to the board for your ultimate determination after you go through the process of getting the charter school application complete as determined by the staff.
Yes, whether you vote up or down on that.
Yes. If you do nothing, what state law says is the application is deemed to be approved after 90 days.
So since we had a committee, Dr. Sullivan, Ms. Page, can we get some direction on what is?
Yeah,
Sure. Well, the review committee had started the process, and they have some questions. We've been communicating with Mr. Lee, who's the attorney and a member of Rethink. And I know that they'd be willing to answer some questions that the committee has and supplement that information. We would guess that we're about 75% way through the application review through statutory process by the time we hit the issue with Section 2 that led us down this wormhole of learning together. So the review committee has started that process. I know that they have gone a good way through and have some questions. So I don't think, talking with Dr. Sullivan, they're not opposed at all to completing that review and getting that information. But we do stand by what we said on the ambiguity, so we would support this board either way. But we do stand ready to complete that review if that's the directive of the board.
All right, do we have a motion?
I would like to move to request a waiver from the state as to the application and proceed to process the application in accordance with the waiver.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Bratton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, we've already done 16, moving on to number 17. Facilities.
Facilities. Wait a minute, I don't know if we did the number 4.
Oh, we did.
We did?
We did.
Okay. Number 17, Facilities, tab 8, requests from BRS Development for land at Rock Springs Elementary during title search to close out a sale of land owned by the McFarlands to BRS Development. There have been some title issues arise. There's a triangular piece of property across from Walden Road from Rock Springs Elementary that is in the name of Rutherford County Schools. It is part of the J.T. Beatty estate and was transferred to him from McFarland when Walden Road was relocated. They have requested a quitclaim deed from Rutherford County Schools. Mr. Reed has been sent all the documentation to review, and if Mr. Reed agrees with the title information, engineering would recommend transfer of the property. Motion to approve this transfer of the property located at Walden Road in Rock Springs Elementary, subject to a title review by Jeff Reed's office as presented.
All right, any discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
Move.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. Do we have a second? Mr. Estes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, this is a request to purchase 3.7 acres at Rock Springs Elementary. Scott Butler and Butler Builders have requested to purchase this 3.7 acres of Rutherford County property located on the backside of Rock Springs Elementary. They would use this land to build additional homes in the Pinnacle Point subdivision similar to the property of Wilson Elementary. Should the board allow this request, it would be a public offer. Engineering has reviewed the request and finds the land to be suitable for sale if the board wishes to do so. Land value would be $35,000 to $50,000 per acre. Motion to approve or deny the sale of the 3.7 acres in which we can get, as Mr. Lee said, 10 homes, approximately 10 homes at 1.3 students per 10 homes, for every home, excuse me. Land at Rock Springs Elementary is presented.
All right. Any questions? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have more of a statement. This is the second time we've looked at something like this, and I wonder if maybe we shouldn't take a look at the bigger picture since we're setting a precedent for kind of piecing some of our properties away here. Maybe we shouldn't look at if there's land we're not going to use or isn't usable in the future, that maybe we could start liquidating it and then putting that back in our building fund. So I don't know if that's something we've already started looking at, or if I'm even being clear in what I'm saying.
One of the things that we have found is there's a wide variety of deeds. Some of our land is deeded to the school board, and some of our land is deeded to county government. In fact, there's a situation at Rockville, whatever they call it down there, Rockville Community Center.
The community center, yes, sir.
In which the county rec wants to replace the floor, yet the roof is leaking. And the deed of the property is Rutherford County Schools. So that gives us a conundrum there. But however, we have spoken to one of our commissioners that's taken the lead on that, and obviously try to get the county government to replace the roof. But that just goes back to what Mr. Lee and I talked about this morning. It's all over the map as far as the deeds are concerned.
We can research that. We did look at, some time back, the county was looking at places where they could put ambulance centers, fire halls, and they asked us to look at what available property that we thought we wouldn't. So we've kind of already done that. The second part of that would be, as Mr. Spurlock has stated, it is all over the map, and it's almost like there's portions of time, depending on the attorney and the county commission. When they bought a piece of property, it was in the county's name. We've even got property that's in Rutherford County Board of Education. Some of it's in Rutherford County Schools. It's titled in all kinds of crazy things, but it would take a little bit of time. That part of it, as far as looking at the land, we did that.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago. So that part would be fairly easy. It would be something that you could look at while we're doing this title searches to see which one are actually ours to do something with.
Okay, so I appreciate the information. Title is always an interesting situation. I restate it, though. I think that if we are holding property that we can't use, won't use, don't need, then to prevent people from consistently coming back to us, let's take a look and know what is what we can liquidate and what we need to hold on to.
I'll also add on the Rockville Community Center, the school board is currently in a 50-year lease agreement with the Ruritan Club of Rockville that will expire in 2044?
43 or 44.
I think 20.
It was way out there. We didn't know.
We didn't know it.
We've never looked at this.
1994.
We've never maintained it. We've never, in my 14 years.
I think in the lease agreement, all of that is on.
It's on the
Ruritan Club.
Yes.
All right, any other discussion? Do we have a motion?
I move.
Second.
All right, Ms. Maxwell made the motion, Ms. Johnson second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Playground.
All right, request to add a playground equipment at Las Casas Elementary. Principal Kim Marable has requested to add additional playground pieces to the existing playset. The cost for this request is $7,814.28, and it's to be funded through the PTO and fundraisers. Engineering and Construction has reviewed the supports and supports this request. Motion to approve Las Casas Elementary request to add additional playground equipment as presented at no cost to the board.
All right, any questions? All right, I'd like to make the motion on this one. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Maxwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, next is the request to replace the gym scoreboard at McFadden School of Excellence. Principal Clark Blair has requested to replace the existing scoreboard with a new Fair Play scoreboard. The cost for the scoreboard is $5,710 and will be funded by Wilson Bank and Trust and other school funds. Engineering and Instruction has reviewed and approved the request at no cost to the board. Motion to approve the McFadden School of Excellence request to replace the scoreboard as presented at no cost to the board.
All right, any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move.
Ms. Maxwell, do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Bratton, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 18.
All right, Director of Schools Evaluation Instrument and Strategic Goals. I think we've passed those out. Mr. Evans, you want to talk on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So Mr. Spurlock asked all the assistant superintendents to go through the previous strategic plan, which I believe was from 2019 is when it originated, and to go through and update those goals that have been accomplished, and then also then look forward over the next 2 to 3 years at what the next goals are. And so we have summarized all of these. I say summarized. We have written all these out over several pages. I think we have an additional 4 pages this time of goals that also notes which ones have been accomplished and where we're going to grow from there. If the board has any questions, I'm sure Mr. Spurlock or any of the assistants can answer those.
I will say there are some very, very strong goals. One in particular that struck me as I looked at it today was the 90% of our schools would receive a 3 or higher on their score in growth. Of course, 3 representing at expectations, a 4 representing above expectation, and a 5 representing significantly above expectation. In 2018-19, that was our last data that we had in which we had accountability on. We had 66% of our schools that made a 3 or higher. So we're really pushing the envelope there on that, and we feel very confident in that, even though that we've had a year and a half where we've had some delays. The information that we're receiving is got us to where we think we can make this occur. So that's just one of many. Obviously, we'll continue to be financially consistent in terms of looking at other revenue streams. There are some things that we have discussed, Mr. Bowdry and I have discussed, that we'll be looking at going forward. All the kind of things that we look at in terms of equity and how we fund our schools. We know that our schools are funded in terms of higher needs, and it's not always the same across the board because some of our schools need more than others. In our HR department, there's one thing that we'll be adding. This is per the State Department of Ed. Dr. Anthony, you want to mention on the diversity?
So we are developing our district-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion committee this fall. We've already began our training this summer, working with the State Department on the protocols for that, and then being able to track our data from there. So we have a lot of information that we've also put into our district improvement plan as well as the strategic plan.
And currently, we do not have, imagine this, we do not have a goal from the State Department of Ed. So therefore, we will look at what we currently have, and hopefully as we grow this, that there will be some improvement, but I'm hoping we get some feedback soon. Any questions on the, and of course, you'll have some time to look at it. If you have some questions, either direct it to me or whomever is in that particular goal.
This will give our board time to look over and review before our meeting on June 24th. That's when we're going to finalize this. Any other discussion? All right, insurance update.
No additional updates from last night.
Director's update.
One, on July 1st, Commissioner Schwinn will be here along with our representatives. It's going to be limited on attendance. Dr. Martin and myself will be going to Blackman High School, where she will go around along with our state representatives and look at some of the classrooms there in their learning. We would like to have done the K-8, however, it ends before that. So imagine that one.
Moving on to TLN.
Nothing.
Nothing. All right, FRN. General discussion.
Mr. Young, I would just like to let the board know, and Mr. Sparks aware, of course, there's the zone exemption packet in front of you for the June 24th meeting, which is 2 weeks from today. I know we have a couple of new board members who've not been through this process before. Just so you're aware, each family has been invited to come that night, and they will state their case before the board. We'll explain why it was denied, and then the board will take a vote that night. If you have any questions, though, on these 5 families appealing for a total of 6 students, but if you have any questions, please let us know before then, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the process or the specific cases. There is confidential student information in these files, so that's why we don't publish the specific agenda online, and I want to give it to you just in paper ahead of time.
Thank you.
Mr. Young, one quick thing. The EESI, our ESCO that y'all approved for us to go through, we haven't talked about that recently. Had a meeting with our CMTA yesterday. They've gotten through about 75% of our schools at this point. Our goal is by the July board meeting is to have a preliminary report for your review to kind of give us it's not going to be finalized, but it'll at least get us in the ballpark of what we're seeing and where we think we can go. So I wanted to let y'all be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything else? All right, we are adjourned.